Good evening, guys, and welcome to our STEAM program for the evening. So I'm going to start off a little bit differently. I'm going to talk about something that we do here at the library, and this is something we've been working on while we've been closed to the public because of the coronavirus. We have a huge collection of books in the library, and things happen to those books sometimes. They get damaged, they wear out, they get old, and some of the information in them begins to be inaccurate and incorrect. Sometimes books stop being popular and they stop checking out. So what we have to do is a process we call weeding, where we go through and look at our book collection and decide which ones are too damaged to keep, too old to keep, and ones that may have inaccurate information or aren't checking out, and we have to remove those from the collection so we can replace them with new books that are better shape, have more information in them that's correct, and will be checked out by you guys. So this cart that I have behind me are books that we are weeding. Now, there's lots of cool things you guys can do with old books. If you're a collector, you can get one, you can read them. If it's damaged, you can actually make a couple of projects out of them. And the one we're going to do today is called a book safe. Now, while we're doing that book safe today, we're going to be using one of these. Now, this is a utility knife or a craft knife, and it has a blade that slides out. While we are working on this, if you are doing this at home, it's very important that you have a parent help you out with this and you let them know that you are using this. I'm going to talk a little bit about some cutting safety while we're looking at the project, but I want you guys to be very careful and be sure you let your parents know that you're using this. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to flip our camera around, and we're going to take a look at our project. Alright guys, here we have a look at all the materials we need to do our book safe. We have our glue, a paintbrush, something to mark with, in this case a pencil, our craft knife, the book that we're using. Don't worry about that, Rick Riordan fans. This one has been heavily damaged inside, so we're not cutting up a good one. A ruler to do some straight lines and measuring with, a bowl that we're going to use with our glue, and a piece of paper. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to move the things we don't need out of the way for right now. And we're going to go take a look at our book. What you want to do is open the book up and pick a spot kind of within the first 20 or so pages. What you're going to do at this point is you want to measure a rectangle in the middle of it. Leave yourself a little bit of a border so that it doesn't fall apart. So we take our pencil right here. Don't worry about the pencil marks on the page. They will be covered up a little bit later. So once you have your rectangle marked out, what you are going to do now is you are going to use your craft knife. I've got this one right here. When it slides out, this part pulls back and it locks the blade in place so it doesn't slip on you. So it's a good idea to try to find one with this function. Again, be sure you have a parent or guardian helping you with this and that they know that you're using this. Now when you cut, you're going to find the line that you just drew
And you want to press kind of hard and cut along that line. But if you guys notice, as I am cutting away from myself. That way, if the knife happens to slip, I don't cut my fingers. So be sure whenever you are cutting, you are cutting away from yourself. Don't worry about if it's perfectly following the line. Just try your best. Again, be sure you're cutting away from yourself. Now, once you get the cuts done and you're done with your knife, always pull the blade back in so that it won't accidentally cut you. Now, you've cut several pages at once, and what should happen is you should be able to pop out where you've cut. And sometimes it's not perfect, but there we go. We get these pages out. You're going to cut a chunk of the pages out, so you're going to end up with a hole right here. That's very important because that's going to be the storage spot in your book safe. So here's the thing, you've got to keep doing this for a while, and we picked a pretty thick book, so that may take us a little bit of time. So instead of doing all of this, I'm going to pretend I've cut all my pages and I've got to where I'm ready to make sure they stay together. Now, when you get your hole all the way cut through, you want to make sure you glue these pages together. Because if you don't, whatever you put in here to store is going to fall out. So, of course, this is where the glue, the bowl, and our paintbrush come in. You're going to take your glue and pour some of it into the bowl and add about an equal amount of water. You'll mix it up till it's nice and soupy. Then you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to paint inside the hole you have made, and you're going to paint outside. And this may take several times to get a good layer of the glue and water mixture all the way around the book. While you're doing this, you want to make sure that you keep a couple of pages up front, because that's going to make a lid along with the cover to hold all the materials that you want to store inside of your book safe. So, you're going to paint the glue, again, all around the outside, all around the inside, and let it set overnight. When you do that, you want to put some plastic wrap or a plastic bag over this section and close it and put some weight on top. So that way the water will make its way all the way through the pages, and it will soak the glue into the pages, and they will stick. So once you get that done, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to switch my book. It's going to take about 24 hours for the glue to dry, and you may actually have to turn around and do it again. So I'm going to take one that I have already made and show it to you guys. So when you open it up, you want to have the first few pages kind of look like a normal book, and then in case somebody picks it up and tries to get your valuables. But when you open it up, inside you have a storage space where you can put things that are valuable, toys that you might not want brothers or sisters or other people to play with, and then things that you've made or are just special to you. So we're going to take these out and we're going to take a look at the inside. I'll throw those in the bowl just to make sure there's not actually glue in that. So once you get it cut, you guys notice that it sits deep. You're going to take the craft knife and either that or some sandpaper, and you can trim the edges down here to smooth them out. And then you can take this piece of paper or whatever color paper you want. You can cut it and glue it down into here to make a smooth backing and sides for your booksafe. Some people use felt because that tends to hold things better. Once it's completely glued down and dry, it's ready to go, and you can put in the different things you want to store in it. You close it up and you put it right on your bookshelf, and you have a hidden storage space for your valuables. So, I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys remember with the utility knife to get one that locks to keep the blade in from slipping. When you're not using the utility knife, you want to pull the blade back so you won't get cut. And when you are cutting, to cut away from yourself. That way you don't get hurt. We will see you guys next week, and hope you have a good night.